Esta experience son très longues. Okay, Duane, Fiston, the young musician, has two real side experiences. I think the first one brought us on some kind of healing that occurred, and he thanks the real guides for providing this clearance and some kind of straightening up of things. And then he says in this dream he had just returned from his village, from the village about 2 days ago, and then he had this dream, had this experience after singing the new, and went to bed. So he was taken to shown to two places. In the first, some people were dressed like policemen, and they seemed to be members of his family, and they told him that he was sort of not giving them giving them part of his earnings, that he was somehow neglectful of them, and that they had blocked all his affairs, and that he should give them money before they would undo everything. And so he gave them something, and this was undone. They told him that, okay, from now, anything that you do will be successful. And then another experience too was a repetition of the same thing. Yeah, it was a repetition of the same thing, where it was promised that his affairs would now be running smoothly, and with no more disappointments. And then this leads up to the third experience, where it seems to have been like he doesn't know whether it's a boomerang effect or what. And in this recent experience, the focal point is that his mother was some sort of convicted, and was to appear in court, and so be locked up. And so he intervened also. And then in the real life, his mother actually has problems, and is actually now under some investigation, and behind bars or so. And so he wants to know whether his mother's predicament is a boomerang effect of what took place in the first two experiences, where the sorcerers, all family members who had blocked his affairs, that he gave them something, and they reopened everything for him to be successful. So he doesn't really understand what is going on with his mother. It's a very long dream. I've just given you the synopsis. Yeah, Duane.
Oh, it's very interesting, and that's fun. Thank you. Yes, you have to sit down with people and kind of go over it. But I would say this is very good, Charles. I would take time later If it takes weeks, months, whatever, to go over this, because it's a basic scenario that's going on. And there's several ways to view this. Again, it just depends upon the person's experience. And many times, the real side experiences come in threes. It's kind of like a movie. You have the beginning, you have the duration, and you have the culmination. That's kind of the threes that it comes in. And this is what the boys do. And sometimes even in mine, they used to, like at the end of a movie, you'd hear the music, you'd see the credits, and it's like, da-da, like the end of a symphony. And sometimes I'd wake up, and it was like, da-da, and I'd hear this, from real side music. And so I'm looking at what he's saying, what he's experiencing. It could be two ways. First of all, people have to realize, this is not a begging process, begging with life. You must earn your way through everything, good, bad, or indifferent. You must earn your way. And get out of the notions of good, bad, right, or wrong, and see it for what it is. Now, the boys sometimes represent the police, but the police can also represent the law, all right? So it can go both ways. And so this is where it's a fine line to see what's going on. So are the police being paid off here, or are the boys demonstrating that, hey, you have to pay your way? Okay, and when you pay your way, we'll open up things for you. But if you think that you're just going to get everything free because you beg and ask and you did a few new U's and you read the books, forget it, until you learn what's going on, until you learn and see what's going on. So that is a good lesson both ways, right or wrong. It's a good lesson both ways. And I've had it too, to where in the past, many, many years ago, I had this one experience where I saw the sheriff riding in town on a horse. Well, in that experience, the sheriff represented the law. Okay, so, and what is the law, really? What is the law? The law only exists in creation. There are no laws in the real universes. And so you have all these, the law of silence, the law of karma, the law of this or that, or the law of niceness, or, badness. You got all these laws. Well, these are agreements that people make. These are the laws. And so, and then let's move on into the third part. Well, it's more than obvious that what he's being shown is a warning. In other words, because of what his mother's doing, I don't know what she's doing, he knows. And if he wants to associate himself with it, it's his choice. He doesn't have to, but again, it's a choice. But he's just simply seeing what's taking place. In other words, I see it as a warning. In other words, she's doing certain things. The end result is she's going to be in the courtroom and be judged. All right, that's a warning. And it can happen if she continues to proceed. It's just like on the real side, I see most people running into darkness. They're running to the right, which is future, and they're running into darkness. In other words, they're running nowhere, because all life is here and now to be recognized. It's not a place you go. And just like the people in the year 2000, when, Y2K came along, a lot of people packed up and went to the mountains or somewhere. It's like, where are you running to? There's nowhere to run. You're on Earth. It's all the same. So, again, I see that as a warning. And the policeman part can go either way. I would take it both ways. Okay. One is that, yes, it can be, let's say, the dark brats creating a restriction. And at the same time, you got to pay your way. Either way, you have to pay your way. I do business deals in this world. I got to pay the beggars. Okay, we're using the system that's been created here, which is a cabal. It's fine. I'm fine with it. The feds, everybody, I'm fine with it. Hey, I just want to do my projects. And actually, they can own them. I don't even want to own them. I'm not concerned. Hey, Joni owns the temple. That's her baby. You can have it, Joni. And the cabal owns the White House and the Vatican and all this real estate and gold, whatever. You can have it. It has no value. Only real awareness has value. So Again, it's a warning. I would say the policeman thing, take it both ways. It can be this or that. It just depends. And sometimes the boys even portray mafia members. In other words, they demonstrate that because you know what? They mean business. In other words, they're getting on with the adventure and this is what they do. Pay attention. So, yes, thank you for sharing, Charles. Go ahead.
Duane, if his son finds himself in an embarrassing situation, and he just asked in the last statement, what are the precautions? What does he have to do for things to be fine for him?
Okay, so when you have a headache, you take an aspirin if you can get one, right, Charles?
Yes.
And many times that works. Today it's Tylenol or what have you, and all of a sudden, oh, gee, my headache's gone. And it does work. When I was younger and I used to get headaches, I don't get headaches anymore. I haven't had them for over 50 years because I just take care of myself. I don't get headaches. I don't stress. And a lot of people do. They get migraines every day. A lot of people have migraines. And so what do you do? So this is the world we're in. We think everything's an instant cure. Well, certain things are. Okay, you get a flat tire, you take it to the mechanic or you fix it yourself. Hour later, it's done. And it's like, oh, okay, everything's to be like this. No, now you're dealing with the whole of life that's bigger than the sky, your personal self, your real awareness to recognize that according to the decisions that you have created and incurred, you see? And movies are a great example and that show people how they get into situations all of a sudden that look good, and all of a sudden, okay, they're like in a dead-end alley. It looked good for a while, then it goes nowhere. And so it's not like, how do I get out of this? All right. Look at the heroes in the movie as an example. What do? You know, for the most part, even when they're captured, you know, and threatened, they just basically laugh at it. It's like, okay, do whatever. You see, they're willing to go through the experience because they know that experience has value. We're taught here good and bad, right and wrong. It's like, how do I get away from this? Well, sometimes, yes, it is like that. But again, you know, and I know it's an embarrassing personal situation, but I have a real consideration for people. And it doesn't matter. I don't care about that stuff. It has nothing to do with anything. All that matters is your real awareness. And so sometimes you just have to let go of everything. You know, if you're in a house and it's falling apart, and you can't fix it or have the money or whatever, sometimes you just got to walk away and just go somewhere else. Whatever, just leave, okay? Or you want to keep trying to hold it up and etc. and deal with it and go through the agony and the pain and the suffering. Well, whatever. So again, sometimes you just have to walk away. And yeah, it's hard, but it's a choice, isn't it? And I walked away. I walked away from a really good life. But I have a better one, and it doesn't have all the amenities that the other one had, but it sure is a lot better because it's what I'm doing that creates a real benefit, and I get to do this full time. It's a privilege for me to do this. So again, this is where the personal self comes in, and the individual is seeing this in his experiences. He's dealing with the personal self and making personal decisions. How long do you want to be wrapped up in that? How long do you want to keep doing the same thing you have for lifetimes and gotten nowhere just because it sounds good or looks good? What really makes sense now? And it takes a little bit of time and study, but it's not hard to figure out. It's not hard to figure out at all. Sometimes you got to walk away from your car and just say, hey, this thing is just, all it's doing is polluting the air. It's getting me from here to there. Well, now I ride a bike right now, but the new vehicles will run on water. So again, I'm not saying everybody should do this, but it's all a decision, isn't it? How do you fix things? Sometimes you just let it go. You just let it go. And if it's the next person, we have this relationship idea here, and I'm not telling people what to do. You decide. And I had a family too. And the thing is, I let them go. They didn't want to see more. They only wanted to see themselves and what they could get for themselves. In other words, they wanted their comfortable personal life. Well, okay, hey, have fun. I'm not interested. I'm on to the adventure. I like the danger. I like to figure things out. I like to make the deal. And as I went along, I saw the bigger picture to where it becomes for everybody, not just, oh, gee, I want the enlightenment for myself. It's not about that anymore. There is no me. It's everything, which is the best part. But who will do that? Who will stand up and see the whole of it? This is where the real guides are. So, especially when it comes to relationships, those are toughies, and most people are very emotional attached, and they won't let go. So the situation continues on, and it usually gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And always thinking and hoping it'll remedy itself, or you go to the doctor and you take more pills, but it gets worse and worse and worse. It's a choice. So the real remedy is to wake up and make sense of things the best you can, and face it. Face what you've done. And it's okay. And then the boys will step up and they will be there with you, but it's not that they're going to do it for you, but they will show you how to get through it so you're okay. So take the time with yourself to be patient, because you will learn from whatever you've done. It's all creation. It's all the same thing. It's all okay. Okay, Charles, do you need an aspirin?